Welcome to the April 28th, 2026 regular meeting of the Calaveras County Board of Supervisors. We'll start out with closed session. Do we have reporting out from last time? I think we already did it, right?
Correct, we did.
Okay, so we'll just do our one closed session agenda item, please.
Closed session for today, April 28th, item 1, pursuant to Government Code 54957.6, conference of county designated labor negotiators Teresa Hitchcock, Judy Hawkins, and Shay Johnson regarding the following employee organizations: Calaveras County Public Safety Employees Association, Calaveras Management Union, Calaveras Supervisors Union, Deputy Sheriff's Association, Service Employees International Union Local 1021, Sheriff's Management Unit.
Thank you. We'll go into closed session and we'll be back.
I'm sorry, Chair, we have no online
No
public
comments.
comment.
I wasn't ready for that without anybody in the audience
I know.
reminding me. Nothing online, nothing in the room, apparently. We'll go into closed session now. Welcome back to the Calaveras County Board of Supervisors meeting for April 28th, 2026. Report out for closed session.
Report out for closed session. Item 1, pursuant to Government Code 54957.6, Conference of County Designated Labor Negotiators Teresa Hitchcock, Judy Hawkins, and Shay Johnson regarding the following employee organizations: Calaveras County Public Safety Employees Association, Calaveras Management Union, Calaveras Supervisors Union, Deputy Sheriff's Association, Service Employees International Union, Local 1021, Sheriff's Management Unit. Board action, no reportable action taken.
Mr. Toffenelli, can you lead us in the pledge, please?
States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Staff announcements. Lisa, good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Lisa Medina, Environmental Management. And we have Donna, as always, our wonderful staff, and this is Radar. So Radar is about 4 years old. He's a male border collie mix, and he is probably about 57 pounds. He's fully vaccinated. So Radar is a joyful, active dog who loves playing with his dog buddies. When he first came here, he was a little intimidated by other dogs, but he's seems to be getting along really well with other dogs now. He gets real excited, and as you can see, he likes to sniff all everything. He was sniffing my shoes and sniffing other people because, you know, dogs do that. They just like to, that's how they identify things. He also likes to flip over on his back with his goofy tongue lolling out on his face. And he likes belly rubs. If you are interested in Radar, please contact us, CCAS, at 209-754-6509. On a very serious note, we discovered over this past weekend that several of 10 pups that we took in a few weekends ago tested positive for parvo. Parvo is a very serious disease. We've had to make some difficult decisions. This required CCAS staff to immediately and appropriately identify any potential exposures and to make some very difficult, see, belly rub. Hi, Radar. Does anybody want to do a belly rub? I'm telling you, it's very cathartic. This required our CCAS staff to immediately address and appropriately identify any potential exposures immediately. And we had to make some difficult decisions on those infected animals that were displaying symptoms, while others in the shelter, we were identifying and applying strict protocols, including immediately instituting mitigating measures, immediately maintaining isolation and separation of a mom and her puppies, which we already had in ISO, so they are protected, identifying dogs that are at the highest risk due to exposure, meaning that they were located right next to the positive dogs for parvo. Implementing an elevated strict sanitation and cleaning regimens, wearing PPE, which means staff are in Tyvek suits, booties, you name it, and when handling any suspect cases. And also managing the current population and protecting other dogs in the shelter. CCAS will be in a partial shutdown for the next 14 to 21 days as we do further assessments. As we continue to monitor our population and those pups we have identified from being low to medium to high risk. We are asking our community and our public for support, our partners, stakeholders, everybody, for their support and compassion for this event, and to please check our social media for any updates. In the meantime, if you find a dog and pick it up, please make sure you are willing to make other arrangements besides dropping it off at our shelter. Ways to help an animal that you find are check with neighbors to see if they recognize the animal. Radar's quite the person, quite the, the spot. Take the animal to the nearest vet or shelter to have it scanned for a microchip. Post the animal on social media and ask people to share it. make flyers, and post them throughout the community where the animal was found. So all this will be posted and is posted on our social media. And we will be making further announcements as we do further assessments, and we'll provide updates accordingly. We cannot stress the importance of vaccinating your pups for distemper, hepatitis, parainfluenza, and of course, parvovirus, as these are highly contagious and preventable with the DHPP vaccine. With that, I wanted to announce we have our next free rabies and microchip clinic, June 13th. How did June get here already? This will be held here at the Government Center with our attending veterinarian, Kathy Gatlin. We're at the Government Center. Do you have any questions?
I do. How's parvo contracted?
So parvo's contracted is highly contagious. Typically, if there's an incubation period of approximately 5 to 10 days for exposure. And during that incubation time, just like with humans, when you catch a cold, we don't know we have the symptoms. It's shed through diarrhea, through sharing of water, dishes, food. As I stated before, we had some high levels of exposure on a dog that was positive. Mucus, that type of thing.
Gotcha. Thank you.
You're welcome. And with that, does anybody want to take food at home? Thank you, Shauna.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Micah.
Good morning. It's always a tough act to follow when there's a cute dog up there. But I have an announcement to make about an upcoming public meeting that Caltrans is hosting. It'll be held here in our board overflow room. It's a Wednesday, May 6th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And there'll be a virtual meeting option available. So this will be a public meeting for Caltrans to provide updates on current and upcoming projects throughout Calaveras County. So if there's a project, a specific project of concern that you may have questions on any of the Caltrans related facilities, they will be available to answer questions on that and give presentations to the timing and scope of work of those projects. I encourage anyone to come who may have a vested interest in those projects, or any of your constituents who may have some concerns that have been raised. So again, it's Wednesday, May 6th from 6 to 8 p.m. here in our board overflow room right next door. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Micah. Further staff comments? We wouldn't have staff online, would we? With that, we'll move on to our recognitions and acknowledgements.
Item 2, proclamation, Clerk of the Board of Supervisors adopt a proclamation recognizing May 8th, 2026 as Provider Appreciation Day.
Ms. Endel,
Thank you,
you
Chair.
have the
Powell.
gavel.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Whereas each week, more than 5,828 children ages 0 to 13 in Calaveras County rely on childcare and after-school childcare programs so their parents can work. And whereas over 293 childcare providers and early childhood educators in Calaveras County devote themselves every day to supporting young children during their most important developmental years. And whereas early childhood educators and childcare providers nurture children's growth with guidance, compassion, and expertise, strengthening families, supporting working parents, and contributing to the vitality of our community. And whereas quality childcare is a vital part of a strong community, enabling parents to work, supporting businesses with reliable workforce, and helping prepare young children for lifelong success. And whereas, just as roads, utilities, and public safety systems from the physical framework of a community, childcare serves as a critical part of its social and economic infrastructure. And whereas Provider Appreciation Day offers a unique opportunity to recognize and commend childcare providers for their dedication, compassion, and strong family values. And whereas Calaveras County providers, the Calaveras Child Care Council, the Resource Connection, Valley Mountain Regional Center, Calaveras Unified School District,
Calaveras County Office of Education, the Calaveras Health and Human Services Agency, First Five Calaveras, Amador College Connect, and other organizations across the county are working together to call attention to the importance of quality childcare services for all children and families, and to enhance the quality and availability of such services. And whereas Calaveras County citizens are encouraged to recognize childcare providers and early education staff for the important work they do every day in shaping the lives and futures of our children. I see at least one childcare provider in the audience today, and I see some folks from the Resource Connection. Do any of you have a public comment?
Good morning, everyone. Mia Huss, the Resource Connection. I just want to appreciate the childcare providers in this community for just building up the most vulnerable, our children, and allowing our families to go to work every day and leave their children in hands of very good quality childcare providers in this community. And I just want to extend gratitude to you guys as well for this proclamation and showcasing that childcare providers are an essential staple in our community. And I couldn't thank them enough. I know it's hard with working hours for our childcare providers to show up, but I know there are a lot of them watching, and they deeply appreciate the support that you guys can provide with a proclamation like this. So thank you.
Good morning, Wendy Alt here as a community member, and I want to thank Debbie Aldridge. During COVID, when everything shut down and families were scrambling, she showed up and wasn't just childcare. She was there for my kids, and couldn't have made it without her. So that impact doesn't fade, and we thank you still today. And teaching my kids the Pledge of Allegiance, so one day when they're here, they'll be able to say it with everyone else too.
And I'm Morgan Berry, also speaking as a community member, but just acknowledging Debbie and everything she does for my child for the last 5 years and still does to this day. I couldn't show up to work every day without her, and knowing my kid's safe every day is everything. I'm able to show up to work knowing my kid is okay. So I just wanted to give her a big shout. Thank you.
Stacy, is there any online comment?
We have no online public comment.
Okay. Yeah, seeing no others, I'll bring it back to the board.
I'm just gonna make a quick comment. The child providers within communities are much appreciated. Some of the assistance programs have been cut slightly. I'm not sure to which full degree, but they're gonna have to work harder to get the money to make ends meet. And part of that is there isn't enough child providers in the communities, especially in some of the other more rural communities. And we also have to think about the behavioral health of a lot of children, because if, in some cases, some children may be left at home without the proper care, and these child providers give them a safe place to stay with certain help from the government in certain situations. So thank you to everyone that has everything to do with that.
Mhm. Okay, do I have a motion and a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Now, therefore, as the Calaveras County Board of Supervisors, we do hereby proclaim May 8th, 2026 Provider Appreciation Day in the County of Calaveras.
What are we using in the middle? Our providers that we're able to get in. Making it right there. Yeah. Ready? And please put it just there. Gary doesn't bite. Alright, ready? 1, 2. And that makes it just go into
Thank you, Ms. Anvil. Nope. With that, we'll move on to item 3. Stacy?
Item 3, proclamation, economic and community development. Adopt a proclamation recognizing May 3rd through 9th, 2026 as National Small Business Week in Calaveras County.
Mr. Toffenelli.
Thank you, Chair. No, I'm very happy to read this. I was a small business owner myself for 30-something years. Small businesses in Calaveras County is the backbone of the county. It provides the essentials to all the constituents that live here, so they have to go outside the county, and it provides jobs for the people to stay in the county and be able to live here. So they're very, very important to this county. So I'm very happy to read this. Whereas since 1963, the President of the United States of America has proclaimed the month of May as National Small Business Month to celebrate small businesses for growing the economy, creating jobs, and fostering innovation. And whereas small businesses work hard every day to create 21st century jobs, drive innovation, increase America's global competitiveness, and significantly contribute to our quality of life and prosperity. And whereas more than 32 million small businesses employ almost half of America's workforce and represent the heart and soul of countless communities. And whereas, as part of the National Small Business Month, Calaveras County would like to take the opportunity to recognize local small businesses and outstanding entrepreneurs as the backbone of Calaveras County's economy. And whereas Calaveras County wishes to continue supporting small businesses from local mom and pop shops to innovative startups as pillars of our communities and the engine of our local economy. And is there any board comments?
I think you got it, Gary. I mean, over 70% of the working force constituents in my district travel outside of the county for employment. And these days with the cost of fuel, that's becoming burdensome for many. So I'll follow you up on your words for small business and keeping the people closer to home when they get to work.
Yes. Is there any public comments? No public comments. Not one single small business owner here that wants to come up and say something. There we go.
Say that I support small business owners. Thank you.
Well, okay. All right, here we go.
See, it just took one.
Hi, guys. Sal. I'm Dan Pennell with Pennell's Carpet One. We just celebrated our 50th anniversary.
Wow.
And I just am always wake up every morning. I look out and think how blessed I am to live and work in this county. As you know, if you've been in business, it's all about people. It's not about me. It's about the guys who work for me, who make us either look good or look bad. And again, it's been 50 years. It's been a roller coaster. And so I thank you for all of you that have purchased from us over the years. We appreciate you. We appreciate, we appreciate you supervisors for running this county. It means a lot that somebody's here thinking about us doing these long meetings. I can't imagine. You know, I'm a short meeting kind of guy. And I'd like to introduce my son-in-law, Peter, who has taken over the company. 50 years and is enough.
And I think all businesses are a roller coaster, knowing that you have to prepare for the down when you're on the up. So yes, in order to stay in business, especially small businesses. So, any other public comments in the room?
I'm Jay McBride. I have a small business and there's some friends here that also have small businesses that came today as well. It was actually really good to hear you speak, say what you said about how the county wants to support small businesses. So in public comments, I'll have something else to say.
Any other in the room? Not, do we have any online?
We have no online public comment.
All right, with that, I will bring it back to the board. Open for either comments or motion.
I'll make a motion if everyone's good with that. I'll second that motion.
On the motion, in the second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0.
Read it.
I will read it as I stand and clap. Because I think it was great that we got a 5-0 vote. Therefore, be it proclaimed that Calaveras County Board of Supervisors recognizes May 3rd through May 9th, 2026 as the National Small Business Week as a way to celebrate the contributions of small businesses to our local economy as well as their support of our communities. Passed and adopted by the Board of Supervisors of the County of Calaveras, State of California, this 28th day of April 2026. So do we have the local business owners that stood up and we want to come up and accept it? Come on, 50 years, hey.
Come on, Susan.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I was telling Dan earlier, we shouldn't sell this high quality carpet, so I've had white carpet for 25 years and it's still. Where do I hide? You're right in the middle. Back up a little bit. This, okay, here, right on that. Hold that up. Who knew? Thanks, guys. Thank you. I'll get in here. Set this whole thing up. Like the Clark Kents. Thank you, Mr. Potbelly.
Welcome.
With that, we'll move on to item number 4.
Item 4, proclamation, Clerk of the Board of Supervisors, adopt a proclamation recognizing May 3rd through May 9th, 2026 as Wildfire Awareness Week in Calaveras County.
Supervisor Fullendorf.
Thank you, Chairman. Whereas wildfire is a natural part of Calaveras County's environment, it can be devastating effect on our community. And whereas with more people living, working, and enjoying recreational activities in Calaveras County's wildland areas, there is increased risk of loss due to wildfire. And whereas the Calaveras Foothill Fire Safe Council seeks to preserve and enhance all of Calaveras County's natural and man-made resources by mobilizing residents to make their homes and neighborhoods fire safe. And whereas the Calaveras Foothill Fire Safe Council provides a framework for preparing for fire season. And whereas Wildfire Awareness Week is an important opportunity for the Calaveras Foothill Fire Safe Council to educate Calaveras County residents about ways to reduce the risk of wildfire. And whereas Wildfire Awareness Week is an important time for residents to prepare for fire season by creating defensible space around their home, which will also protect the county of Calaveras. And with that, I will open it up for any public comments. Anyone here from the fire? Hi.
Hi, I'm Laura Bauman, and we are having a Firewise event in Arnold on May 2nd. So everybody's invited to that. Starts at 9 a.m. and over by 1. Thank you.
Thank you. There any other public comment? There any online?
We have no online public comment.
Okay, and I'll bring it back to the board for any comment. Supervisor Hubbard?
Thank you. I just really would like to thank the council, Supervisor Terry Woodrow, Tim Tate, Tim Follendorf, Bob Moody, Tom Bale, and Steve Kafka for all the work that they do with the council. And to thank Chief Fullerton, who brought us the proclamation.
There any item?
I would also like to thank the Fire Safe Council as well as Resource Conservation District and all of our residents that are proactive in this area. We had an event in West Point on Saturday, a Firewise meeting where the council came, RCD, lots of community members. There's a lot of movement on being more fire safe, and Susan was there with PATV and it was recorded. So that's available to watch through our local channel as well.
Chairman?
Just also we'll throw in CAL FIRE and their help with fuel mitigation. We could go down a list of local fire departments and the steps that, like you brought up, RCD with they're going to take, or they're taking to maintain those fire breaks. So that, because they typically grow back and we are looking at another devastating fire 5 years later possibility, so.
There any other board comment? If not, is there a motion?
Move.
Moved by
second.
Supervisor Hubbard, second by Supervisor Endall. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passes on a 5-0. Now therefore be it proclaimed, the Calaveras County Board of Supervisors does hereby proclaim May 3rd through the 9th, 2026 as Wildfire Awareness Week in Calaveras County. Thank you. I don't think there's anyone here.
She
For
did
the-
say that he was gonna try and send somebody, he might not be available.
Okay.
so-
You're
Okay,
chief?
Get this to the, yeah, we'll get this to the Fire Safe Council. Thank you.
Stacy, you don't want a picture of it, just that in Amanda's hands?
It's okay.
Oh, okay. Okay, with that, we'll move on to general public comment.
Any item of interest to the board that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board and is not posted on the consent or regular agendas may be addressed during the public comment period. California law prohibits the board from taking action on any matter which is not posted on the agenda unless it is determined to be an emergency by the Board of Supervisors. If public comment is completed before the 30-minute allotted time period, the board may immediately move to the next order of business. If public comment is not completed during the allotted time period, it will be continued as the last item of business in order to provide an opportunity for the remainder of comments to be heard.
I'll be first. Yeah. I'll get the line going. Laura Bauman here. I'm representing already three, but right along the Firewise that I already mentioned, we're doing the May 2nd community event.
I'm sorry, can you hold 1 second?
Start my clock.
Oh,
Yeah.
shoot.
Did not have time.
Yeah.
I apologize for that.
Thank you. Yeah, right. Really quickly though.
There we go.
There you go.
There.
Okay, I can talk. Okay. For the American Red Cross, we're doing a Sound the Alarm event. And that is going to be done May 23rd in Angels Camp as well as Murphy's. And what we do is go out to the community, our little t-shirt, and we install smoke alarms and we check the smoke alarms in everybody's house. And what? Oh, I'm sorry. So anybody can get their alarm checked if they want to just contact me. And I put my phone number up there. 650-588-8620. And we've installed over 2,000 in Calaveras County and Amador and not Tuolumne, just Amador and Calaveras. And we've saved 2,600 lives so far nationwide by fire alarms working in those homes. And then my last cat is with the Calaveras County Garden Club. We have we're going to issue in the next couple of weeks, $3,000 scholarships to two to Brett Hart and one to Calaveras High School students. So we're really proud of that. So, and that's it for me. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Christopher Butner, publisher of CalaverasWatchdog.com. With the Calaveras County District 3 Supervisor election having the incumbent running unopposed, the outcome is certain that Martin Huberty will be reelected. Far less certain is that Martin Huberty will still be here in office by January 2027 for the beginning of his second term, as the facts of his criminal complaint for fraudulent misrepresentation and misuse of public funds, as well as other allegations, become more extensively investigated. Likewise, the sworn complaint pending with the California Fair Political Practices Commission Enforcement Division for the same set of allegations. And then there's Martin's documented involvement with Jeffrey Epstein on behalf of Sarah Ferguson that every candidate for Calaveras County office is strongly advised to publicly address. But that's for another day. For today, my primary topic for the remainder of my time here is the Calaveras County District 5 Supervisor election, as it is the only one of two district supervisor contests that has an uncertain outcome on June 2nd with 3 candidates running. Logically, the winner of the contest should be an easy and clear choice for the voters. One of the candidates, former District 5 Supervisor Clyde Clapp, is running to reclaim a seat he won by recall election in 2016 and then ousted 2 years later in 2018 by current two-term incumbent Ben Stopper. So what has Clyde Clapp been up to in the intervening years? Well, in 2024, a civil court judge of the Calaveras County Superior Court ruled against Clapp in a lawsuit that cited evidence in the case establishing Clapp had likely committed elder abuse against the now deceased plaintiff during their real estate partnership. Quoting directly from the judgment after court trial from case 16 CV 41649, defendant breached his fiduciary duties towards plaintiffs. Defendant's intentional and repeated violations of his fiduciary duties towards plaintiffs were abusive within the meaning of the Elder Abuse Act. One other notable excerpt from the judgment referring to the elderly victim, the evidence has established he degenerated both physically and mentally by the time Clyde's most egregious violations occurred. Seriously, Clyde Clapp, just go away. You have no business being anywhere near Calaveras County's finances. Your conduct has been declared as predatory by the evidence. Just go away now. Now to you, Ben Stopper. There were 12 probable cause findings against you by the FPPC. Should the FPPC Enforcement Division levy substantial fines upon District 5 Supervisor Stopper while somehow he wins re-election, District 5 citizens will be left with a financially and ethically compromised supervisors whose improprieties will challenge his ability to meet his financial obligations. According to credible sources, Stopper was legitimately terminated with cause from his CCWD employment for falsification of records. He has been credibly alleged to have lived outside of District 5, leaving him open to other FPPC investigations. My name is Christopher Butner, publisher of CalaverasWatchdog.com.
Any further public comment? Thank you, sir.
I'm gonna read this.
No problem.
Good morning, Chair Benjamin Stopper and members of the board. My name is Jay McBride, and I'm a resident here in Calaveras County. Thank you for your time today. I'm here to speak about the opportunity for Calaveras County to better support small-scale home-based food producers in a way that is both safe and accessible. Right now, there's a lot of limitation around what people can legally prepare and sell from their homes. At the same time, there is clearly demand in our community for locally made food, meals, and products that are prepared by people we know and trust. Many small producers would like the opportunity to serve food directly from what they grow or create true farm to fork or home to consumer. But under current limitations, that's often not possible. Recently, situations like complaints against small producers create uncertainty and discourage people from participating at all. California already has a framework for this. It's called Microenterprise Home Kitchen Operation, or MICO. This model allows individuals to prepare and sell meals directly from their home kitchens under a permitted, regulated system. It's designed specifically for small-scale, community-based food businesses, something that fits counties like ours very well. I'm not here to argue against health and safety standards. MECO provides a structure for oversight while still allowing flexibility and access for small operators. At the end of the day, these are neighbor-to-neighbor transactions, and people should have the ability to make informed choices about the food they purchase. There's also a clear economic benefit. Allowing MECO operations creates new small businesses, generates permit and licensing revenue, and keeps more money circulating within the local economy. It lowers the barrier to entry for entrepreneurs, creates pathways towards larger, fully permitted food businesses over time. This is a way to support economic growth at a very local level without requiring major infrastructure or investment from the county. I'd like to ask the board to explore adopting and implementing the MECO model here in Calaveras County and to consider how similar approaches like temporary food facility style allowances could support home-based food service in a responsible way. I would also like to encourage the formation of a local food committee to help guide that process with input from the community. I'd be interested in being part of that effort. If you were to ask people who know me, they would tell you I genuinely care about this community and its future. I want to help to find practical solutions that respect both safety and individual choice. This is an opportunity for Calaveras County to support small business, increase local food access, strengthen community connections, and generate local economic activity, all within a structured and responsible framework. Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Mr. McBride, thank you for your constructive comment. Any further public comment? Anything online?
We have no online public comment.
All right, we'll bring it to the consent agenda. Any board members like to pull any items off the consent agenda? I'm gonna go ahead and just for some comments, pull items 12 and 13. Anybody from the public like to pull any items, or staff members like to pull any items? Anybody online?
We have no online requests.
All right. I'll entertain a motion on the remainder.
I'll move.
A move by Ms. Follendorf. Second by Mr. Hubbard. All those in favor? Aye. Passes on 5-0 vote of the board. I will bring it back to 12 and 13, and if anybody doesn't, we can combine those.
Shall I read them out?
Yes, yeah, we can combine those if no one has any complaint to that.
Okay. So item 12 is an agreement, behavioral health, authorized the board chair to execute agreement 10622579 with Elite Family Systems, Inc. for the provision of as-needed specialty mental health services in an amount not to exceed $133,000 for the period of November 14th, 2025 through June 30th, 2027. And then item 13, agreement, behavioral health, authorized board chair to execute amendment 1 to agreement 10622532 locumtenants.com for the provision of specialty mental health services for the period of July 1, 2025 through June 30th, 2026, increasing the contract amount by $150,000 for a total not to exceed amount of $900,000.
Wendy, I pulled these. Could you explain to everyone what these services and who they provide services to?
Yes, Wendy Alt, Calaveras County Behavioral Health Director. The first one for Elite Family Systems, this is a placement for a client that is also with the child welfare system, one that needed placement, and it's a contract that we didn't have in place yet. So it is a specialty place for an individual that needed assistance that we could not provide within the county. And the second one is for our psychiatrist for another contracted provider that we have to use for children and adult.
Excellent. And just, I only brought this up to make people aware that, the services that are provided to the younger generations and everything kind of goes in hand with,
daycare providers and everything, you know, it's,
Takes the whole community to bring our children up and give them the best help we can. So,
does anybody else have any questions from the board? So I don't have any protests to this or.
Yeah, no questions. I just really wanted to thank Wendy and the behavioral health team.
Right.
I'm lucky enough to sit on that board and it's amazing work. So thank you.
Thank you.
and anybody from the public have any comments? Marcos, nothing? All right, yeah, he's always a thumbs up.
With that, I'll bring it back to the board, consider a motion.
I'll move
For
both 12
for
and
both
13.
12 and 13.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Those opposed? Passes on 5-0 vote of the board. We had a motion by Mr. Hovde, a second by Mr. Toffenali. And with that, let's see, we haven't hit quite 10 o'clock yet, so we can go and start with item 18. Staff's okay with that. I think I'll wait till 10 o'clock for a break. Oh, right now?
Yeah.
Okay, usually you say power through it. Well, okay. Hey, Gary's in charge. We're gonna take. No. I'll take the suggestion. We're gonna take like a 5-minute, let's make it a 10-minute break for staff.
Okay.
And then we'll go from there.
Okay.
We got thumbs up. Let's start out with item 18 on the regular agenda, if you will.
Item 18, action item, Administrative Office, affirm prior board direction by supporting the Debt Advisory Committee's recommendation to proceed with iBank Infrastructure State Revolving Fund program financing at a fixed 4.39% interest rate and direct staff to finalize and bring back the required financing agreements for board consideration.
So good morning, Chair Stopper, members of the board. As you're aware, I brought an item requesting permission to move forward with negotiating with iBank a few weeks ago. However, during that discussion, some concerns were expressed about the financing. So we did indicate that we would go back to the debt financing committee to explore other options. So I want to talk a little bit about that today. In March of 2026, the board authorized me to begin negotiations with iBank for financing of the new animal services facility. The project is a 10,555 square foot facility located in San Andreas, designed to modernize and expand our animal care capacity. Shortly after that meeting, the Debt Advisory Committee met to evaluate all viable financing options. Today's presentation summarizes those options and the committee's findings. The committee evaluated 3 primary financing paths. Option 1 is the iBank ISRF program, offering a fixed interest rate of 4.39%. Option 2 is a public bond sale, which would rely on market interest rates and carry higher issuance costs. Option 3 is a pay-as-you-go cash strategy, which avoids debt but delays the project significantly. Each option has different implications for cost, timing, and risk. Stacy has it up. Here is a high-level comparison of the 3 options. iBank financing offers stability, a fixed rate, lower risk, and the ability to start construction immediately. Public sale financing exposes us to market volatility and higher issuance costs. Paying cash avoids debt, but delays the construction, which ultimately increases total cost due to construction inflation. This matrix guided the committee's recommendation.
Thank you.
I'm not finished.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is a long pause.
Sorry.
Killing me.
I'm trying to build suspense.
Oh.
The iBank option, the iBank option provides a fixed 4 point. This is the first option is the iBank financing, which is the recommended option even by the Debt Advisory Committee. The iBank option provides a 4.39% rate with a 90-day lock, giving us certainty during the approval process. Issuance costs are significantly lower, between $147,500 and $170,000. iBank has already approved the project, which means we can move forward quickly. Starting immediately helps us avoid construction cost escalation, which is a major factor in long-term affordability. The only limitation is no prepayment for the first 10 years, but overall, this option is the most predictable and cost-effective. So for the second was a public market financing, and this is option 2. We modeled this at rates between 3.82% and 4.08%, but these rates are not guaranteed. Issuance costs are much higher, between $233,000 and $278,000. Market volatility is a major concern. Recent geopolitical events, such as the Iran conflict, have caused significant rate fluctuations. Pricing is not locked until the day of the sale, which adds a lot of uncertainty to this process. Overall, this option is less predictable and carries more financial risk. The third option was the cash-only approach. The cash-only approach avoids debt entirely, which is appealing at first glance. However, it requires delaying the project until full funding is saved. Construction costs are escalating at more than 4% per year. We did include in your packet California escalation estimates over the last 5 years, and also federal escalation costs, which were much higher than 4%. But for our purposes, we used a 4% rate.
As the example, over 15 years, the project cost would rise from 13 million to more than 23 million. This makes the cash option the most expensive overall, despite having no interest expense. So in summary, after reviewing these options, the Debt Advisory Committee unanimously recommends option 1, iBank financing. It minimizes financial risk, provides predictable repayment terms, and allows the project to begin immediately. Most importantly, it avoids the significant cost escalation associated with delaying construction. When all factors are considered, iBank financing results in the lowest total cost. So today, for your consideration, we are asking the board to affirm our direction to proceed with iBank financing and bring that back to the board for final consideration. But the board could also direct staff to prepare for a public market financing, understanding the higher risk and cost. The board could also choose to delay the project, choosing a cash-only approach, which is the most expensive over time due to inflation. And finally, the board may choose to just discontinue the project entirely. Staff is recommending option 1. And I'm happy to answer any questions about the financing options and the committee's analysis. We also have Mr. Sessions in the audience from the Auditor Controller's Office, who was a part of these discussions.
Thank you. With that, I'll let the board have some comments first, and then we'll go to public comment. Any questions to start? No? Mr. Toffenelli?
Before we go to public comment, Lisa, can you come up and talk a little bit about the current conditions that we have
Yes.
at the shelter? You sent an email out yesterday.
Yes. So the current conditions of the shelter are beyond poor. You know, we have a poor drainage system currently, and this is primarily one of the reasons that led to the parvo outbreak, because the parvo, of course, is contracted through the delivery of fluids. Every time the staff go in to clean the shelter, everything is washed down. So it goes to the next, the next kennel, the next kennel, the next kennel. We think because we had the dogs that we obtained from up the hill, 10 dogs, 3 of which were the positive parvo dogs, were up in at the higher level kennels. So everything got washed down. Our equipment is old, our infrastructure is old. We have staff that are just, working day in and day out. The public doesn't realize that we're open 7 days a week, which means that we have to apply critical measures almost every day. We've gone through, as far as like our equipment and everything else, it frequently breaks down. Right now, we're at 187% capacity with 43 dogs. We have puppies and mamas that are in old cages and kennels. We have been able to get some grant funding, which has been a godsend for us through the natural resources connection to update our kennels. But we still have the old kennels, which lead to sometimes we have aggressive dogs. We've had dogs that have had their tails bitten off because the kennels and the infrastructure is so old, it cannot prevent dogs from either looking at each other, getting aggressive, and or anything else. But yes, the email that I sent out yesterday just highlights the necessity for a new shelter, and it's critical. If we don't do this now, we cannot continue to maintain this infrastructure. We have the poor drainage system on top of a secure. A lot of times we do take in animals from the jail when they get housed, or when our citizens unfortunately go to jail. We have had break-ins, multiple break-ins of our shelter to get those animals out, which creates an additional expense because we're not that secure. So our volunteers, which we couldn't do without, our focus, our partners that support us, sometimes have to pick up, that tab, for us, because we certainly can't do that. So we desperately need a new shelter, not only to benefit our staff, but most of all our animals. Right now, we have animals that are doubled up, tripled up, because we don't have enough space for all of them. And we don't turn animals away. We will do our best to take care of them. We've had to make some hard decisions with this parvo outbreak. As I stated before, we don't have the equipment or the resources to do that right now, to maintain good shelter. There's best management practices for all shelter activity and all shelter operations. And we are barely holding on with the support that we have. Of course, the board has always supported us. Our community has supported us. But right now we are above and beyond our limitations, and we're just barely holding on. With that, I will take any questions from the board. If there's any specific questions regarding our infrastructure, regarding our operations, regarding our policy and our protocol, which we have been diligently working on. We've instituted our volunteer manual, our foster policy, and a lot of programs that have benefited our community, especially our animals. And we currently work with a lot of rescues and other organizations to get as many animals out as we can.
Thank you, Lisa.
Mhm.
I've witnessed it personally up there a few times, point out my daughter over the years. But I'll hand it over to Gary. Did you have any further questions?
Oh, yeah, I just wanted to point out that the situation that we have right now.
Yes,
We don't, you have a parvo outbreak, but you don't have the ability to isolate an animal that may have it.
correct.
You have double and triple
Yes.
in the cages, so it's very difficult to try and prevent that, and that's just the parvo right now.
Mhm.
In the future,
Mhm.
if we don't do something, it just can continue to happen.
Well,
And you don't have an influx, so you had, like you said, you had 2 pregnant dogs, or you have puppies, it
right.
increases, 3, yeah, 3, it's gonna increase. It's just the risk of it all just imploding on itself with the parvo thing.
Yep.
Is very saddening, as I wrote to you.
Yes, I appreciate that. Right now, as I mentioned before, we have one room. We don't even have isolation and quarantine. We should have a lot of times people don't realize building a new animal shelter is like building a hospital. We have to have all those protocols in place, stainless steel. Right now, we're dealing with cement and we're dealing with old equipment, because we don't have the resources to do that. So we beg and we borrow, we don't steal, but we have a lot of help. We have a lot of help from our community and from our stakeholders and from, the state, because we do beg for the grants. As a matter of fact, I was just able to extend a grant. But back to the isolation and the quarantine, I did mention that mama and her puppies. We have been able to separate them because they're in a different location. And we've been able to, right now, we're working methodically based on risk, right? Who has been exposed and keeping them separated. But it's not, we're set up for failure right now.
The new design, though.
The new
incorporates
design?
Quarantine area.
Yes.
And that's
Mhm.
why I'm saying it's a hospital.
Yes.
It acts like a hospital so that they can go in there. And the reason why I asked you earlier also about how parvo's contracted, a lot of dogs get their diseases from their paws.
Yes.
So when you drain anything, they're picking up whatever's in that.
And that drainage system, as I said before, that's why, it's contracted through fomites, through bowls that are shared, through the drainage system, which is right in front of the kennels right now. Well, that's not efficient or effective. And right now we have a problem with the drains backing up. Because we were getting clogs in the main drain through the infrastructure, through our sanitary sewer. So we implemented a new system. And thank goodness Buildings and Grounds has been really gracious in helping us out by clearing those drains. But it's time. We're in desperate need. And what I worry about is our staff. Our staff, I was just talking to a couple of them and their hearts are on their sleeves. This is animal care in and of itself is where your heart's on your sleeve, and it's something that it's hard to maintain. I get kind of anxious thinking about it, but for our staff, they're the ones I worry about, because they every day, this happened over the weekend, and it was all hands on deck, not that we actually had to be there, but it's a group effort, because people need to make decisions. And it's critical when we make those and we make sure that we make the right decisions based on shelter management practices. And some of those decisions are hard decisions. We had one dog And it's just an old structure. The cement is pitted. So when you have pitted cement, bacteria, everything else forms and is collected in there. Like both of you were talking about the pause, that's delivered from one side to the other and to the outside. So that's currently why we're in lockdown. Right now, we only have fully vaccinated 6 to 10 dogs that are fully vaccinated out of 43. Which means that they're at that lower risk, but that's only 10 out of 43. The others are low to moderate to high risk because we vaccinate each animal as they come into the shelter. Getting back to our separate cage and the hospital you were talking about, it's a hospital. Building a shelter is a hospital. You have to maintain sanitation. You know, you have to have stainless steel cages. You have to have acoustics, you know, so I don't know how many people visit our campus that early in the morning, the dogs get really excited because they know the volunteers are coming to walk them. So
Just the mornings.
yes, and it's not just the mornings. And, you know, I pay attention too, because I'm over in building E. And when I hear that, you know, I zip up there because if it's during a time, you know, then I know that something's going on. But that happens all the time with the new shelter and best management practices. You don't hear that because it's engineered and designed to address those acoustics.
To keep the dogs calm.
Yes.
Yeah, and healthy, because that much noise in a certain area for animals, not just, you know, loud. Like you said, calm, they stress.
Oh, yeah, it
And some
stresses them out.
animals-
We
It
have
causes-
had, because of the setup of the current kennel situation right now, we have dogs that go kennel crazy, you know, and we've had them for a long time. We try to send out messages and adoption events, and we have different programs specifically to try to get our animals out to any way in which way we can. But the staff are the ones that deserve to be acknowledged. They're the ones that are boots on the ground, our volunteers, our focus members, our stakeholders. They are the ones that are dealing with this. And we just ask that you greatly consider this ask and would make a huge difference, not only for our animals, but for our community and our staff.
If everyone's good for the moment, because I'll bring it back to the board, should we do public comment? And thank you, Lisa. We'll have you back in a minute.
Okay.
Public comment. Anybody in the audience? If you feel obliged, oblige yourself.
I mean, this has been going on a long time,
Yes.
and the grand jury has brought it up, and something really needs to be done. So get going.
Thank you. Thank you. Stacy, is there anything online?
We have no online public comment.
Okay, I'll bring it back to the board. I'll work on keeping myself brief. Good luck, because Lisa, I hear you. We just had the public comment that sings to my heart. I'm generally hesitant as a public entity to take on debt. But in this scenario, we have this scenario of a 15-year that was put up earlier and the cost going up about $10 million for the same project. I'm going to say that cost has gone up $10 million since, at the very least, since they started, to 13 million. I can, you know, when they first started talking about this, they might have got it done for 1.5. But I really have to go back and do some studying that I'm not going to do right now. The point being is, you know, watching other entities and other public entities, a lot of times the can gets kicked for infrastructure and capital improvements. And these costs have gone up so extravagantly just in the last 5 years. And to the point where, you know, some of those realizations don't seem foreseeable, and the public's losing from them. Lisa's clearly explained health, safety, capacity issues. These are real. And you know, when I get elected as a board member, I can't say I wasn't responsible for not doing that. I became a part of the body of the board. So I take responsibility for the decisions of the people that are here before me. So at this point, yes, the grand jury has come up. Yes, there are laws by the state to help to take care of these animals to a certain level. If we don't start showing movement now to take care of these issues for the animals, number one, because it's the right thing to do for the animals and the people in the community, and not letting an outbreak get out from a parvo, get out from the animal shelter. But for the safety of our public funds, because one day the state's gonna be like, you had every opportunity and we warned you how many times. And we're gonna see fines that are gonna exacerbate the cost of the infrastructure. So, you know, I think that pretty much says what I have to say. I'll leave it at that.
I have a question for Teresa on her presentation. If we go with iBank, your recommendation, it says immediate start. Does that mean, when you bring this back and we agree to it, you'll start the next day? Construction?
Not actual construction. The next
Oh.
day, we would go out for construction manager, and then we would go out for RFP for the actual construction of the facility. We've had construction managers for our other projects because they help us craft those bid documents so that we make sure that we have very tight bid documents so that we're not faced with surprises during construction, which is the goal. But it would mean that we would start the process as soon as we receive funding. We would start the process of hiring a construction manager, getting bid documents, going out to bid. It would still take at least another 18 months to 2 years after that before we would see a brand new facility.
The full realization.
Correct.
So, we have estimates of construction time, and we had estimates of the costs. In those estimates, was there an estimate of construction time? Is that, you're saying 18 months to 2 years?
So I have Jamie Andriola here, who has been working with our consultant on this, and I think she's saying we do not have an estimated construction time right now.
So we're considering 8% on 2 years at 4% a year on cost.
Well, so the reality is that once you go out to bid, then you have what the contractors estimated their costs are, barring huge changes during construction, which is what we're trying to avoid by having a construction manager. We also have some contingency built into the costs that we're estimating right now for things that are unforeseeable. So
The RFP hasn't been put together yet.
no, the RFP is not put together yet.
Sometimes you can put dates in there as a requirements for that RFP.
Correct.
So it doesn't run over or it doesn't, so, okay.
I don't have any questions and I'm ready to move it with staff recommendation.
We have a motion by Ms. Bollendorf.
I want to quote Miss Bauman and say, let's get going. I'll second.
We have a second by Mr. Hubbard. All those in favor?
Passes on a 5-0 vote. Don't clap yet. We have 2 years to see utilization.
And staff, I just
Time
want
to
to,
tell.
sorry, Chairman, staff, thank you for all your hard work on this and the public that have come time and time again to participate in this. That did not go unnoticed by the board.
So
Very, very, very much so. And I think that there's something I would like the public also to remember. There's a lot of people that have, you know, anything they can do to help and everything. These costs are going to debt. So if you're gonna have any fundraisers for the animals in the animal shelter, so we can pay that debt off sooner so that we aren't paying interest with your tax dollars, it would be a great thing to do if you have the opportunity. We appreciate it as long as all the citizens and taxpayers in Calaveras County.
So I just have one more thing to say. I'd like to remind the board that we will be bringing the iBank agreement forward for final approval. So we're not done yet. I
Yes.
just want to make sure the public's aware that that agreement still has to come forward and it still has to have terms and conditions to which the board feels comfortable agreeing to. So that'll be coming in the future.
Yeah, and we've been known to go to 4-1 on issues like that, but we'll see how it goes. Lisa, would you like something short to say? Short?
Yes.
All right, hey, we love it.
Thank you, board. And thank you, council, Teresa. And I know that
Great.
Jamie and Denise put a lot of work into it. And I'm very grateful for this finding in this ruling and very much appreciated. And I can't wait to share it with our staff. This is always a positive thing during probably one of the most monumental stressful things that we have done since I've been in this position for almost like 7 years. So it puts a little light on something that is very dreary right now. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for your work, Lisa.
Thank
And thank you to all the staff, top to bottom, in every department that's had their hands in this, including Mr. Sessions and the auditor's office, administration and everything else, because it takes the whole team and with the community backing to get something like this done, so.
And volunteer.
Remember. All right. We ready for the next item? All right. The ladies have said it. Stacy.
Item 19, action item, economic and community development. 1, review staff recommendations and select recipients to receive Regional Early Action Planning 2.0 grant subawards totaling $1,541,566.31 for promoting construction of housing that is consistent with the REAP 2.0 program goals. And 2, authorize the county executive officer to execute sub-grant agreements with the board's selected recipients.
Our esteemed colleagues from the planning department, economic community.
Good morning, Chair Stopper, Honorable Board, Kathy Galino, Economic and Community Development. And before you today is our second recruitment for the REAP 2.0 grant that the county received back in 2024. We've got 4 applicants that responded to the notice of funding availability. And today before you, our staff's recommendation based on the rankings of those applications from highest to lowest. We have Stanislaus Regional Housing Authority, which is now Foothills Limited Partnership. We've got Habitat for Humanity. We've got the Reed Mandalay Project. These are all in your packet, and I'm sure you've reviewed them thoroughly, as well as Calaveras Public Utility District. So before you today is this item, and we also have the applicants here in the studio or in the audience to discuss the project. So I know that there's probably lots of questions and I'm here to answer them, and Brett's here to back me up.
I have a question, and I think it more is to Micah. On number 2 here, for the Calaveras Public Utility District requesting $880,000 for replacing 800 linear feet of water line from Polk Street to Main Street, the Highway 49. We have a project coming up, and I know this is just outside of it, but are we planning on paving Main Street somewhere? thought we had that project of repaving Main Street when St. Charles is being redone by Caltrans, they were gonna be part of it. So my concern is that we're gonna pave it, and then they're gonna come back sometime to tear it up to replace this pipeline that obviously they're asking for and needs to be replaced. Is that part of uplifting this? Because we've graded these from 1 to 4. And I'm just wondering if that was part of what was interpreted when we were grading these projects. So if you could speak on that, and my
Yeah, Public Works doesn't have any plans in our capital improvement program to pave Main Street. I know that Caltrans is doing their Complete Streets project on St. Charles. And the scope of that work could include some potential paving on Main Street, but I don't think it's going to incorporate this entire segment. So I think it would be appropriate to require the development to be responsible for some of that.
okay, because I thought for some reason that when Caltrans did that project, that they were gonna pave it at least down to Court Street or.
I'm not aware of that.
Okay, all right. That was my question. I clarify that. Thank you.
I just gotta say, I think you were at the forum when I was running the first time in 2018, when I brought up that underground for water and electrical utilities is $1,000 a foot. That's reality.
Yeah.
I think it might cost a little more than that.
Yeah.
Sorry. That's just a fact. Anything else, Mr. Toffenelli?
That was my only question on that item right now.
Mr. Hubbard?
No, sorry.
For now? Okay, ladies,
Chair, I'd like to hear from the applicants. perhaps.
that's absolutely. And then we'll work through public comment and I'll bring it back to the board. Shall we start with applicants first? Yeah, any applicants would like to speak? You know,
Good morning, supervisors. Thank you for having us here. And I actually want to kind of start this with a thank you to staff and also to you for the fact that we have competition for these funds, I think is huge because we need more improvement to this county in lots of different forms. And so I think that's actually pretty exciting. Although I do hope that you have a leaning towards me, of course, I'll be selfish there. But
Habitat.
if for Habitat, yes, so sorry, Morgan Gache with Habitat for Humanity Calaveras. I will introduce myself. Just to give you a little background and perspective on our positioning for this application. Habitat serves across this entire county, serving all the way from Wilseyville. Ooh, sorry. You're my district supervisor too, man. Woo, all the way down to Copperopolis. We represent your constituents in every form, whether it's through actual home builds that we've done over our 30-year course of being open here in this county, or the hundreds of critical home repairs that we do across this county, including just wrapping up this last week with someone here in San Andreas that was especially meaningful to us because not only were they a successful homeowner with us, one of our first homes that paid off their mortgage, but also was a roof repair that we did for them recently. So we feel very deeply connected to our homeowners and our home repair recipients. We all understand how difficult it is to build in California. It's expensive, it's a lot of regulations, and we just heard about the animal shelter, and I feel that deep in my core because building brings a copious amount of challenges that we have. Overcoming infrastructure hurdles, that's a whole nother ballgame that I now personally can attest that I've been through. And Eureka Oaks has already done that work. While Eureka Oaks is located in the City of Angels camp, its impact is countywide. Our homeowners are coming from across Calaveras County, and this development creates access to homeownership for families who are currently priced out regardless of where they live today.
So to give you an example of that, with an approximate median household price of $450,000 in our county, that's last I checked, we were about that, and current interest rates, we have households earning 80% of AMI at our development. So I want to highlight that this development is for low income and workforce housing specifically. So looking at 80% of the area median income, that's approximately $80,000 a year total household income. Realistically, at this price, they cannot afford homeownership in this county. They can't. So when you look at teacher salaries, when you look at our firefighter salaries, and when you look at retail and government, all of those have challenges. Am I out?
So because we've asked you to speak on behalf of your project, the timer doesn't apply.
Okay.
It's only for public comment.
Okay,
I'll give you
perfect.
2 more minutes.
Oh, thanks. Jeez, okay. Eureka Oaks in Angels Camp is historic. So it is the largest Habitat for Humanity development in this entire state. With that comes visibility at already the state and federal level for this project, which we've been fielding. But what sets Eureka Oaks apart and why I think that you should highlight this comment for this specific agenda item is because of the project readiness. That's especially important. The infrastructure of this project is complete. The financing we have for this project is secured. Partnerships we have are in place. And the vertical construction, we're not speculating for years from now. This is literally weeks away from starting our first home builds. So I want to put that into perspective. This isn't a future hopeful project. This is a project delivering homes this year. I want to be clear what this funding is for. So our request is for eligible infrastructure costs, specifically utility hookup fees and impact fees. These are the required costs that must be paid before homes can be completed. The funding isn't sitting. It moves directly into construction and accelerates the delivery of homes. We've worked really hard for the past year and a half to layer funding and bring this project to this point. With partnerships at the state level, city level, through private funding and donors. This funding doesn't determine whether the project happens, just to clarify. REAP 2.0, it doesn't determine whether it happens. It determines how fast we can do it and how fast we can start providing homes to your constituents. This project is also supported by a strong network of local businesses, some of whom are here today. We're very grateful to them representing, who will be a part of the vertical construction. This keeps investments, jobs, and opportunity here local. As an organization, I mentioned that we've built 20 homes, done hundreds of critical home repairs, and we've had families, just to give you a process of where we're at in that timeline. We had 2 different homeowner orientations, welcoming 18 families across the county to be a part of it. And then also we have 8 that just underwent lending and are ready for homes right now. So advancing Eureka Oaks allows us to move forward into our next development, into the unincorporated part of Calaveras County, expanding the impact even further. So we respectfully ask that you direct staff to revisit the REAP 2.0 awardee rankings with consideration given to project readiness, ability to deploy funds immediately, and overall impact to housing production in Calaveras County. We've done the hard work to get here. We're ready to build. We're ready to get stuff done. And we're ready to put these funds to work immediately for the families of Calaveras County. Thank you for your time, your extra time and consideration.
Thank you. We have Stanislaus, CPUD. I could go down the list. Sir.
Hi, I'm Jim Cruz, CEO of Stanislaus Regional Housing Authority. So thank you for considering us on this project. I know we've been here before and I've had some of my other staff people here. Just wanted to give you a brief history that we purchased that original Foothill Terrace property in 2017, October of 2017. We were working towards that with the city planning department. We had a great subdivision for the one-bedroom units that we were looking at. Of course, we were hit with COVID. At that time, the intention was to build the units out and use them for rental properties, affordable rentals. As we know, the construction costs went from about 4.5 million up to about 8 million after COVID. So the only path forward that we could find was doing some affordable home ownership units. I know one of the concerns at the last board meeting that I heard was that we were really looking for 2-bedroom units. We've incorporated some of those into the new design. We're going to incorporate as many as we can onto that site without triggering a re-review and opening back up of the whole plan review process by using modular units. So I wanted to kind of assure you that we understand what the concerns are of the community and what you're looking for. But this was really the only path forward for that property. We've invested 3 or 4 iterations of the design, hundreds of thousands of dollars in architecture fees and some of the infrastructure work as well. So we appreciate you taking a look at that. We are ready to move. We've got the contractor in place as we were when we were originally awarded the contractor. So within 30 days, they're ready to start moving and start construction on the project. If the full award amount that was, I guess, proposed is not received, we may have to limit the number of units that we could do, or we have to consider that perhaps we wouldn't be able to build development at all. I know there was also a question about, the county was looking to purchase the property. We're certainly willing to have those discussions as well and see, we'd like to get back what we put into the property, and that would be included in that. But I just want to kind of let you know a little bit about the history. We're trying to bring some affordable housing into the community. We understand we've been working with state and federal officials about bringing some additional funds into especially our rural counties that are underserved. So we've had a number of meetings with them also about setting some set-asides on the state side for some of these different types of funding. And hopefully with Secretary Moss taking over the new housing and homeless division, they're really interested in hearing what we have to say about that and doing some set-asides for these rural, instead of moving everything over to the larger cities and demographic areas. But with that, I'm here for any questions, any other questions that might.
I'm gonna go ahead and let each
Okay.
applicant go through if they'd like, and then we can round back out and we could work through questions from the board as we're moving forward.
Okay, great. Thank you.
If the board's all right. All right. So, thank you. Thank you, sir. Ma'am?
Hi, I'm Margaret Reed, and I am the president of George Reed Construction. And you may know we're a heavy civil construction company. We do work for Caltrans and we build infrastructure. We build subdivision infrastructure. That's what we do. We have a long history of that. And we also have a business here in San Andreas. It's 7-Eleven Materials. Reed Mandalay is part of the Reed family companies, just like 7-Eleven. So we have a business on Pool Station Road. We built the George Reed Industrial Park in Pool Station Road, and I'm very proud of how we've maintained it. And so that's what we do. I think that very clearly this funding is for the kind of work that we do. So I have a little bit of let me just start. Reed Family Companies has a tagline, and it says, caring for our people first, then our customers, our community and environment. And that's how we are. It's a family business. My 3 children are in the business as well. And my son would be the project manager for this project. We started our business in San Andreas with George Reed, who is my husband's grandfather, and my father-in-law, Wendell Reed, and he got together and they purchased Nielsen Ready Mix Company. So that Ready Mix batch plant was on Nielsen Road. And later when we built the industrial park and we moved the plant to a better site for that business, my father-in-law, Wendell, who I was very close to, he wanted to develop that property. So he put a lot of effort into it and he wanted to do it for the community. He, just like me, sees that we have employees here that work here and yet they live other places. And we'd like to change that. So it's really a passion project. I want to fulfill it for my father-in-law. He called it Sky Estates because it's a beautiful lot. If you haven't seen this, it's really beautiful. It's flat already. He left it just flat and ready to grade and go. Unfortunately, He is going down the path of a subdivision, which requires a lot of CEQA, a lot of cost, just a lot of regulation. And so after he passed away, I was involved, helping Mrs. Nielsen. She lived to 104. She lived in the house. I helped, remodel. It's a rental now for workforce housing. And we had to park it because financially, you just can't develop this property and be able to build on it for reasonable. And we've talked about that already here. So I found out that there's a different process I can go down, and that's the process I'm in now. And that is, these APNs actually are 11 parcels, and these are the parcels we can build on. And we went through the effort to certify the parcels as being buildable, and we're currently working on lot line adjustments. So we will have a beautiful setup. It won't be as many houses as back then because the zoning's changed. It's zoned R1, but it's perfectly zoned for the kind of housing, family housing that we'd like to see there. So again, this money is for us to be able to build lots that we will sell, and we'll be able to sell them at a cost that would be suitable for people to build on. And I've talked to local builders. I've talked to builders in California nearby. We had a pre-development meeting with a builder who asked a lot of questions. We've heard a lot about, how much the water district says they can support it. The sanitary district says there's room now in the sanitary system. It's just the engineering fees. And you can see in our proposal, the engineering and the connections just are what really drives us up. But if this funding was granted to Reed Mandalay, which again is our family business, and we really would love to see this housing here, it would go to a company that knows how to build and knows how to get this out there so our own employees and other people can have a home here in San Andreas. And I'd love you to see that property. It's ready to go. I'm not sure. Well, I guess one last thing. One of the scoring, there's 3 objectives and there's 25 points each. And so when I saw our score come back less than 75, I was really surprised because the first thing it says, the first 25 points is for infill housing. This is infill housing. Mrs. Nielsen's house is on one side and the other houses are there. It's like right between those houses, it's infield housing. It's on Nielsen Road. And we've maintained that road to the top of that property. The second item, it says it's for infrastructure for affordable housing. That's the whole goal. The whole goal is to build this property so we can sell it to people who can build these houses. And the last goal is for vehicle miles traveled. And I think that there's a project for the Pope Street Safe Schools route. So you'll have paths from there, you'll have sidewalks to the school. So each one of those should have gotten full 25 points in my consideration. And when I look at it, that's how I would have looked at it. So I was surprised at how low it scored. And again, I'm very passionate about this project. I'm passionate about this community. I'm passionate about my employees. We're passionate about the environment. And I don't think we have time for him, but I brought Ian, who filled out the application, and he's very passionate about vehicle miles traveled. So anyway, I don't know if we'll have questions later.
Thank you. Representative from CPUD. Okay. Public comment. And yeah, we're limited to 3 minutes. And if you please, if Ms. Scotchy already said it, or anybody else where you support, let's not repeat stuff too many times. Just say, I agree.
Yeah, exactly.
But you can do whatever you want for your 3 minutes.
Yeah, I apologize if
No,
there's
no.
any redundancy in what I have prepared, but it should be.
I get it.
So good morning, Chair Stopper and the Board of Supervisors. My name is Tim Oskey. I'm a Calaveras County resident, taxpayer, and registered voter. I'm also here representing Habitat for Humanity at Calaveras as the board president. First, I wanted to acknowledge this and thank staff for the significant work that has gone into evaluating a highly competitive REAP 2.0 process. I also want to recognize your proclamation today of May 3rd through the 9th as National Small Business Week here in Calaveras County, because what we're discussing today is directly tied to the strength and sustainability of our local business community. I'm here to speak about the economic impact of Eureka Oaks project specifically. Eureka Oaks is a shovel-ready 107 unit development that represents a strong, well-leveraged investment in this community. Our funding stack already includes California Energy Commission, Bank of Stockton, US Bank. During construction, Eureka Oaks will generate substantial local economic activity supporting contractors, skilled trades, suppliers, and professional services. That investment translates into real dollars circulating through our local community, increasing demand for lodging, food, fuel, and materials, and contributing to both sales tax and transient occupancy tax revenues. Just as important, what happens after construction. Once complete, these homes bring new, stable households into our community, families who will live, work, and spend locally. That ongoing activity supports small businesses, strengthens our workforce, and contributes to long-term economic stability through consistent property and sales tax revenue. And this impact is not theoretical. It's already supported by our local business community. And standing here today are some of the Calaveras County business leaders who are either directly involved in or will benefit from this project. Business leaders like Alan Sender, Sender's Market, Dan Pennell of Pennell's Carpet One, Kate Allen of John Allen Construction, Danielle Perry with Bank of Stockton, Casey Vacariza from Cal Waste, and Vicky Aguilar with Placer Title Company. Their presence reflects the real local economic value of investing in Eureka Oaks. We fully respect the other proposals before you. However, we believe the scale, readiness, and depth of economic and community impact this project delivers may not have been fully reflected in the scoring. Eureka Oaks is ready now, and it delivers not only housing, but infrastructure, efficient infill development, reduced vehicle miles traveled, expanded access to opportunity, and long-term stability for working families. We respectfully ask that you award Habitat for Humanity Calaveras the full $1,541,566.31 of REAP funding.
Sir.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for your leadership.
Thank you very much. We appreciate the comment and, very good.
Thank you.
Mr. Hospital?
Good morning, board. Matt Hospital, business owner and property owner in San Andreas. I think we all know that there is a dire need for housing, and I think San Andreas is a great place to start. It's the county seat, everything's around here. It'd be a great place to focus on some of this funding. A lot of been talked today about being ready. I think all these projects are ready. I really think you guys should reconsider the staff recommendation and maybe spread the funding out a little bit, spread the wealth a little bit. A few things I want to point out that looking over the applications, the first thing that I'm concerned about is the Foothill Terrace project. It's been sitting for so long, and I'm just afraid that it's just going to keep sitting. So that's a worry to me. They asked for money for land purchase costs, $700,000 for land purchase cost. When I look at who owns it now and who it's going to, it's the same address. So that was confusing to me. I don't know what's going on there. They also asked for purchase costs for sidewalks, utilities, water and sewer. All that water and sewer infrastructure is already in the ground. The sidewalks are in the ground. So that to me is, what do they need $700,000 for? But all these are great projects. Habitat's a great project. The Mandalay Reed project, great info project right here in San Andreas. It might not be as far along as Habitat, but it's right there, close. And lastly, the CPUD waterline project. Being the district engineer for CPUD, I think we really need to look at this. We don't know right now, the impact of these developments, what it's going to be. We think we can serve them, but there's going to be some improvements need to be made to the water infrastructure system. And so this would be a great spot to give the funding as well. The only unfortunate thing on that is they almost need the whole amount. You can't just build a little portion of the pipeline. So that could be a problem too. But until we get these developers in the door and get an application, we need to really do a water model and see, how much water these developments are going to need. So all in all great projects. But I really think you guys should reconsider how it's distributed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hospital. Sir.
Hi, my name's Ian Davies. I'm the environmental manager for Reed Family Companies. I'll be very quick. I just wanted to add one thing on to Margaret. Our project was scored as the third overall project. However, two of the staffers actually had our project as the highest score when they scored them. And then as a result, one staffer scored ours the lowest. As a result, we ended up being third. And then no funds were kind of allotted to us or recommended for us. That being said, the project's giving 10 roughly 3-bedroom houses within walking distance to the San Andreas Elementary School. It's going to have a lot of access to that Pope Street project that's going to open up a lot of non-vehicle travel throughout the city. And I just think it's a good project to support, and that's why we're just requesting some funding that you guys see fit. So, thank you.
Hi, I'm Dan Pennell, and I am winner of the Small Business Proclamation today. And I would like to just point out that Habitat brings what we need and we need now, which is economic development.
Thank you, sir. Well said. Ms. Ellen.
Hello, Kate Allen with John Allen Construction, and I'm also the president of the San Andreas Merchants Association. My concern, again, with the Stanislaus Housing Authority project at Foothill Terrace is when we award the 1.6 roughly million grant to them, there's really no guarantee that they'll have vertical construction. The project could sit potentially. There's no guarantee on their behalf that they'll actually build. And I know that there's been a history of struggling a little bit for them to have a project that is in line with what the community and the board wants. I think their project scope has struggled historically to fit what the community is looking for. And for that reason, I would support the Reed project, which is single-family homes, 3-bedroom, 2-bath units that supports workforce housing. It supports family housing close to the elementary school, as well as Eureka Oaks, which is the same. This is housing for workers. This helps business. It helps economic development in Calaveras County. And like Morgan said, that project is going. There's no question that those houses in Angels Camp are going to be built. Is that giving those funds to the city of Angels? Technically, yes. But when you look at the overall good for our county and our community, you have to look past that and say, we need to have housing built that is going to serve this county and benefit all of us. And for that reason, I would support either of those projects as opposed to a questionable project that has had, some ups and downs aligning with what the community wants here in San Andreas. And that's my feedback. Thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Allen. Further public comment in the room? With that, online?
Yes, we have one online comment, Matthew Roberts.
Mr. Roberts.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right. Good morning, Chair and members of the board. My name is Matthew Roberts. I am the General Manager for Calaveras Public Utility District. I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak today. Also, thank you, Hospital, for your comments as well. CPUD supports housing and we support responsible growth in this county. What I want to bring up is something that we see repeatedly on the utility side, and I think it's important for the board to be aware of it when these funding decisions are made. A lot of housing projects move forward through planning and the funding stages without a full understanding of what the water infrastructure is going to, the cost is actually going to be to serve them. One thing, once they get moving, the developer comes to the utility company and then they ask for estimates. At that point, we provide real numbers, not estimates. And in many cases, the cost required to upgrade is significantly higher than what was expected. And what we see from there is the same pattern. Projects slow down, they get scaled back, or in some cases, they don't move forward at all. When that happens, it's not just a delay, it's time, it's a planning effort, it's public resources that get tied up on all sides. And I want to be clear that CPUD is not in a position to absorb the infrastructure cost. If those upgrades are not planned and funded properly up front, the financial impact ultimately shifts back to the ratepayers and surrounding communities. That's just the reality of how these systems work. So I think it's worth looking at whether during these funding and scoring processes that there has been a real consideration of water, sewer, power in all capacity and all costs before the projects are moved forward. I'm not telling the board how to do their jobs, but I'm asking as we continue approving and funding housing development that we start accounting for the infrastructural reality early in the process, not after the fact. Because right now, in a lot of cases, the cart is still getting ahead of the horse. And over time, that catches up with all of us. I encourage the board to take a look into this and consider when deciding if the infrastructure is in place and if without it, how do we move forward to build? Again, I thank you all for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Matt. You had 5 minutes, I think. But any further online?
We have no further online public comment.
Okay, I'll bring it back to the board for any questions directly. If you'd like, I'd start, or you guys, your choice. I'll take it then. Yeah, I heard shovel ready a lot. And I think all these projects could be either fairly close with plans in place. I say there's already a shovel in the ground. It's not shovel ready, it's being done, and then we have some time on another project, and then we also brought up a infrastructure project, which Matt, you summarized very well from my perspective. I have one question. Now, that Main Street line is not the only. I'll direct it towards Matt if he's still online. If Matt can consider the question. The infrastructure in San Andreas that you're putting in for the money for of $800,000 to do 800 feet. That's not your only concern when it comes to providing water. I want to ask you about the straw in the cup up there above Railroad Flat, and if there's been the extension going up to Shad's Resort yet to draw the water from the reservoir area, as has been asked in the past by the state, or have you gotten an exemption on it? Are you still having to file each year with the state to be able to continue to serve new customers? Because there was a time that the county CPD was frozen from providing the customers new services because that form with the state wasn't filled out one year or so. So Matt, are you there to be able to answer a question?
Yeah, I'm still here.
So did you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you for the question. So there was a moratorium on doing new water meter installations back when we were having the drought emergency within the state. That since now has been lifted. So we no longer have to apply for that. So we're able to do the installs as needed to answer that side of the questions. And then furthermore, for the Shads Reservoir, that's still status quo. We do not use water from Shads. Our water comes from the South Fork of the McCollum, and we pump it into Jeff Davis Reservoir. So we have the capacity to feed, no doubt. The pinch point really comes down to is fire flow capacities, especially in the rural areas or down here in these communities like San Andreas, for example, where we're talking about. These are 100-plus-year-old water main lines that have been in the ground for a very long time that they just don't meet the fire capacity anymore. So really, it's more of a broader community effort to be able to replace that so we can provide water fire flows in multiple areas throughout the town of San Andreas. So we have many, many to pick out of. This is the first one that came to mind when we filled out the application.
Yeah, thank you for the answer. I appreciate it because it's been a long time since I've delved into the CPD infrastructure problem. It's everyone has it. Okay, so my question on that, I have a question of Stanislaus, if you mind, sir, if you don't mind, sir. I'll try to be light.
Fine, ask if you have questions, you do.
I saw, well, it was brought up earlier, you just said earlier, you purchased the property already in 2017. There's purchase price of the property in here.
Yes.
Okay, how's that work?
So we purchased the property in 2017. In order to fully utilize the REAP funding, which is why we had to resell it to ourselves under a limited partnership, because that is a qualifying event and we could use the funds from REAP in order to reimburse ourselves for the land purchase property. The reason that the REAP funds are important is to bring the overall development cost down, to get them to about a $250 sale price point, which we think is affordable in this area for first-time home buyers. And we heard a lot of the homes are going for 400, 450,000. That's a big jump from somebody that's just trying to enter the home market. So we're trying to create something in that middle so that people can get into a home, 1 or 2 bedrooms for 250 to 300,000. So.
Excellent, yeah, but the purchase of the property and redoing it. Now, you used Stanislaus money to buy it the first time.
Yes.
And that's what you're saying, you're reacquiring the money for the original purchase. There's been money that's come through, see, you're set up as a nonprofit in a sense, right? It's in a sense.
Stanislaus Regional Housing Authority is a public
Yeah.
agency.
It is a public agency and everything, so the majority of money comes from funds that come through the state, federal. And other ways that public agencies receive those said
Yeah.
funds.
Or our own.
That said, there's been money in the past. Now, I wasn't necessarily here, but I think there's been money that's financed Stanislaus Authority for certain things to be done in Calaveras County in the past prior to these REAP funds.
There was one, No Place Like Home project, which was on a Gold Strike property, which is on the other side of the school that's there. We received the funding for that. The board approved us applying for it. We received the funding from the state. There was some public pushback that didn't want No Place Like Home housing units next to a school.
I was here.
So it was pulled, yeah, so it was pulled and the money was returned to the state.
Okay, so
So we
there's
received
no money
state or
from
federal
Calaveras prior that,
No.
okay, understood. Thank you. That answered.
And Supervisor Stopper, if I can please add, the REAP 2.0 grant does not allow anything prior to June of 2021 for property acquisition. So that's why the 2017 funding was not approved.
This was something that was verified with HCD as part of their funding process.
No, I understand the shell game. The George Reed, you're fairly clear. I mean, sorry, Tony Reed, you're part of the company. It's called what again?
So.
I read it multiple times.
Margaret Reed,
Right.
and George Reed is my husband's grandfather.
Grandfather,
And Wendell Reed is my father.
Right.
Passed away,
the company.
and I'm the president of George Reed.
Okay, excellent. Well, that's local company. You work around here all the time. Love the idea.
7-Eleven,
Love
Gerald's
the idea.
celebrating trip today.
Hey, if you're gonna talk, please come to the podium, so, because Susan's gonna have me
Sorry,
if
yeah,
you don't.
yeah, so yes, we are a local business, a long time here. And we want to see housing.
Okay, I appreciate it. I don't really have many questions. You're pretty straightforward. With that, all my questions are answered for right now. I can get back to the rest later. Members, any questions of the applicants? If not, I'll,
No, I do. I just didn't know if we were gonna go down the line. I have questions,
okay.
but I think some of them might be to staff. Okay, so first on the weed project, I understand that it has been rezoned, that was talked about today, but I guess my question that leads into my concern about that project. Is there a development or subdivision map that's already gone through the planning department and or approved by the planning commission? Or is it just a plot of land that is being, that it qualifies for that under the current zoning, but has not been approved by the planning commission.
I believe that's correct. There's been no discretionary actions, but I believe the applicant could probably speak more to if they're doing any kind of lot line adjustments that would be approved at the staff level. So there's no overriding planning commission approval. As I understand it, what they're planning to do would be allowed by right in the zone. They might have some parceling to do, how they want to package their project. They could probably speak more to that on their lot line adjustments, but I don't believe that they have any prior discretionary approvals, and I don't believe that they really need them for a large part of what they want to do.
Ministerial process primarily.
Correct.
Okay, that answers that question. And I guess my concern is I don't want to look at a project if there were extra steps that need to be taken, like other development type project. Okay, the other question I have, and this is more of a broader one because we did hear just recently from CPUD. But the other thing that had not come up in any of this is where does San Andreas sure stand in all of it with capacity of any of these proposals? I mean, overall, we've been having this discussion for years. This has not been a new conversation. I know there are subcommittees, but we have some great opportunity in San Andreas for development, but between CPUD and San Andreas Sanitary District, I have grave concerns that either utility provider, if these get routed to them, will not be able to fulfill the capacity of the development and necessarily the hookup. They've got other, like Matt just said, they've got current infrastructure issues that need to be addressed. And I'm worried that that would hinder any project. So to staff, like when we're looking at these applicants and we're proposing this, why are we not working for this infrastructure to make sure that these applications are successful? Because that is right now my biggest red flag as I look at Foothill Terrace, as I look at Reed, as I look at the other, I'm listening to other projects in the San Andreas area. We've got some serious that this board cannot control. And I mean, we're already looking at that issue with the hotel. So if we can't even support a hotel, how in the world are we as a board gonna support these housing? We thrive on smart development and growth, but we're not doing that. I feel like we're doing the opposite. We're saying, yeah, go through it, and then we're ultimately setting up these developers for failure because we have not addressed and partnered better with our local utility here in the, and I know that all utilities are facing it, but most of it, we know the investment needs to come into San Andreas, and we're setting them up for failure. We're setting up our community for failure. So I guess how as a board member, if I'm gonna make a decision, how do I know the confidence that the utility providers can provide this if we're not supporting them either? And I know CPUD has the application, in here, but this is a broader than just that pipeline. So how do I, as a board member, support this if I'm gonna find out in 6 months, neither of those utility companies have capacity, and it's gonna take another 2 years to get to that capacity? And then I don't know how you answer that, but those are where my red flags are right now with any of these projects.
So
Good point, Ms. Fuldor.
So as part of the grant process, this grant was open to utility districts. We did reach out, I personally reached out to San Andreas Sanitation District. They did not want to apply. I can tell you that I've sat in on a couple of pre-application meetings where the utility districts were present. Reed Mandalay was one of them recently. We've met, I know Stanislaus Regional Housing or Foothill Terrace has met with CPUD as well as San Andreas Sanitation District, and have been provided numbers for cost, for capacity as well as connection fees. which are rolled into the actual applications as part of the funding request.
But these are one-off. That is one-off for one project. It does not address the overall structural need of economic development in San Andreas. That's what I'm getting at, is what I would, and maybe this is a recommendation for in the future, what I would love to see is your job to do better at getting those two utility districts in this room so we as a board can support them. So inherently, the developers are more wanting to come and invest in San Andreas. We know that each application is going to be that cost, but if we put that money investment as an entirety, then we're going to be setting these developers up for more success. So anyway, so do you know what San Andreas sewage capacity is? Are they at capacity? Do we know what that is?
We would absolutely have to ask them, and we certainly recommend all developers, especially affordable housing developers, to coordinate with the local utilities early and often. And we also include them in our pre-application process to try to get that feedback early. How those utilities participate or don't participate in that process is really kind of up to them. But no, I cannot speak as to the exact sewer capacity in San Andreas right now. I would need the sewer district to do that.
Can I follow you up on that real quick?
Yes.
Can anybody here say what the number was on cost to serve? And if they have a will serve in San Andreas? I can say Angels Camp is already building, so they have their shovel on the ground because the sewer's there, so they're calling, 811 instead of seeing if they're gonna get served. No?
Not a Wilson.
Okay.
Sir, but I.
Okay, no, come up to the podium. That's why I'm asking the question, so.
I've worked with the sanitary district at the very beginning of this because that's part of what shut down the.
A cost to serve before a will serve.
Okay, cost, yeah.
No, I did say both, but you have either.
So anyway, we started down the path of funding them to go to an engineering firm, but just so you know, the house, Mrs. Nielsen's house was connected to sewer and water, so the pipes already go past there. So we have, so anyway, we have some engineering.
The pipes can be out there,
Okay.
and understanding the layout, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's cost to serve. Did you get a cost to serve?
Well, I don't know.
Did he give you a number that?
Yeah, in our budget, we put down the numbers he gave us, but I'm not familiar with the cost to serve or the will service.
Okay, well, no, the will serve is that you say that they will serve. And that's final before you get the product. So
Okay.
most likely you don't have a will serve.
Got it, yeah.
But
we
a
got it.
cost to serve would be what you'd have to pay, so then it gives you a will serve.
To reserve our.
For capacity
Right,
and everything
yeah,
else, yes,
that's what
and
we
in
have.
case they have to expand, whatever, and one pipe. Is out there, how big is the pipe? Because that may have to be big. So
Yeah, yeah.
with that, thank you, Amanda. I'm sorry for interrupting, but.
No, that's okay. I just want to say that those are the red flags. And when I'm considering these projects, I'm gonna continue to listen to what my other board members say, and maybe there's new information that will change my mind. But at this moment in time, those are my concerns. I am worried about, I'm worried that the struggles with utility district that they are facing right now, these would set these projects up for failure. And I think we've got a bigger discussion at the board on how we need to go, and that's for another day in time. But for today's purpose, my reservations are based on the information Matt just said, based on we don't know where San Andreas sanitary is, and just the larger discussion of utility. Because if it's gonna be preliminary and we don't have, like Ben said, those specific words of we're not gonna see vertical in the next 5 years, I'm gonna be leaning toward when I'm gonna see vertical in the next 12 months.
Miss Andal, come on. I was just gonna let it flow down the line, but Mr. Huberty, you're more than welcome. Thank you.
Brett, could I ask you, what, if these REAP funds are not spent in the county and they are spent in the city, what position does that leave the county in?
We can expend the funds. The one real big caveat is our arena numbers. And so with the Habitat for Humanity project, we would not get arena credit. We could maybe negotiate with the state and with the City of Angels after the fact to get basically a reduction in our arena numbers for the next cycle that will start in 2028. So we could possibly get a reduction in future numbers, but in the here and the now, we would not get credit for our arena numbers as far as affordable housing. I don't think that we would get any kind of credit for the Reed family partnership as well, because I don't believe they're proposing affordable housing. So we wouldn't get a lot of credit there. But for the Stanislaus, we would get arena credit for those units. So we would certainly, if the board wanted to go with the Habitat for Humanity and do the allocation that way, we'd do everything we can to get future credit for our arena numbers. And we believe the state would be encouraging that. I think they'd be on board. It might be a little bit of a negotiation with Angels Camp.
Thank you. I mean, in reading all of this, and especially in hearing Supervisor Fallendorf, which backed up a few of my concerns as well. I think for speed, for volume, and for getting this money spent in a timely fashion, which is critical, we really need to look at Habitat. We've been talking about professionals, but our service providers, the employment of our service providers has gone down every year. And I think that again, with the speed and the volume, we are looking at something that will benefit the county overall, as Kate said, in a timely fashion. So with that, pass back to you, Chair.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Toffenelli, would you like to?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Is Matt, are you still there?
He is. I can unmute him.
From CPUD?
Yes.
Yes, here.
What's the time frame on this project? Because I have some concerns on it with, we have our Pope Street project going to be happening early next spring. And then we have Caltrans, they're starting early next spring on their projects.
Yeah.
And so that whole area there is going to be under construction and paving and a lot of things happening. So is your time frame to get this thing done? What is that time frame? If you're awarded.
Yeah, that's hard to answer, right? The direct timeline is a little tough. So basically, the nice part is that we already have some design done. Like Aspetel had shared that some of the design work has been done. So that's a jump start on this process. And if we had funding, we could expedite this process and get started on it as soon as possible. And it's definitely something we should take into consideration, those other projects that you have mentioned. But it could also be a great opportunity to coordinate with these other utility companies that are currently working in the area and see if we can get some of the paving done at the same time rather than doing it in sections and segments. But everyone brings up a really good point, and I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, I just have the concerns that if it's not done before Caltrans, because I believe they are paving a certain part of Main Street, that you're going to be digging that up in the time that after it's already been done. And I know you've gone down California Street, and now it's going down Pope to Main and Main to St. Charles Street. I just want to make sure, because we're going to be doing California Street also in our project, that we're not doing it after if this money is awarded to you. So then we end up with pavement that's just brand new, being disturbed. That's my concerns. I'm on the same page as Supervisor Fallendorf as far as the infrastructure, because every time anything comes up in San Andreas that has to do with new construction, it has to do with the infrastructure. and whether it's capacity is there or not, or the cost for hookups. And so I think we're setting ourselves up, if we can't help the utility districts when they need it in order to provide service to all the projects that want to come up here in San Andreas. So, but my concerns again is disturbing something that is going to be done starting next spring, and I don't know how soon they're going to get it paved, because there's a lot to do that they have to do before they pave. But that's my concern, Matt. So,
Understood. Very valid.
Thank you, Mr. Toffenelli, and thank you, Ms. Fullendorf.
It's not my district, so.
Oh, no.
If I-
But the infrastructure is the bell I've been ringing since day one. You know, it's, you know, a problem across rural America, much less rural California with the cost of underground. Like I said earlier, $1,000 a foot. It's not cheap. And it's the roadblock we hit in most development in our area. And so we have to be pragmatic about how we move forward with our dollars, you know, because with infrastructure, they quickly become cents. So with that, did you have something?
Most of my questions have been answered. The one remaining that nobody else has asked is with Stanislaus Housing. What is this new plan? What are the units, bedroom capacities, and how many?
So right now there's 26 total units. There's 11 lots, and we'll have lot splits done on those through a condo association that we've done on some of our other projects. And we have 2 to 3 of those will be 2 bedrooms, more if we can fit them on the lots again without going back and having to do any planning changes or anything like that, using modular style units. So the other one will be
2 to
1
3
bedroom.
bedroom modulars.
There'll be 1 bedroom stick build units, and then the 2 bedrooms will be modular units. And so we'll try and put as many as we can without having, you know, without triggering any potential to go back to planning and do additional reviews. But I think we can fit at least 2 to 3, possibly 5 2-bedroom units on there.
Is there something up further?
Yeah, just, to beat a dead horse, that doesn't fit the model too well of what San Andreas and Calaveras County desperately need.
Yeah, and I understand. And part of that discussion was, if we go back to redo it, we're gonna redesign the entire thing. It'll add hundreds of thousands of dollars into the property, which again, we're trying to kind of keep this project, down to a moderate level. Again, $250,000 per unit, a little bit more for the 2 bedrooms. And then we can certainly look for other property. We do single family subdivisions as well, similar to what we're doing, but in this county, I would rather defer to Habitat and the other housing developers and support them in any way possible. But that would have been our preference. We've just had this property and kind of moved down this path for so long. We have to somehow come to fruition, get some units in the county, and then get some of our money back so that we can move on to our next projects.
Yeah, understanding that perspective. I guess that was my only question for you.
I have one more. I haven't heard it this time. What happened to hand off to San Joaquin? San Joaquin Authority.
It's a different housing authority that doesn't have jurisdiction in this county.
So they fell off because there was a conversation last time that.
I don't think with San Joaquin. We have a Great Valley Housing Development Corporation, which is a nonprofit. Affordable housing.
Okay. It was out of the area. I apologize for the wrong name, but
I worked there too, so I know them really well. And
there was also the discussion about getting the money back for the property, working with them also.
Okay,
But the conversation's changed. Okay, so I'm just curious. All right.
I have one more comment, and I didn't have to go to any of the applicants. This is actually to staff. I will go forward with this process. I just want to make it clear that this entire process should have been managed differently. I'm very disappointed at how we got here today. It has been no secret that infrastructure has been a priority for this board, and it's been a discussion for years. So with this money, what should have been proposed to this board, and I strongly encourage staff to reevaluate how they put these proposals out into the future for this board is you need to focus on the utility companies. That is our primary focus. We cannot, and we have seen it time and time again, depend on developers. They are not going to support the cost. I'm sorry. It is the reality that we are facing with development here in California. So the next time any of these types of funds, and I'm speaking for myself, I have an expectation from staff to propose these money and how we are going to collaborate with our utility districts. So these developers, whether they are a large developer or small, like the Reed family, are set up for success to provide housing in this community. We have an obligation as a board, even though we are not the utility provider, to set this community up for economic development. If we have no other means of revenue, we are hidden where we need to find alternative revenue and we need to set it up so we are gaining that based on the development and not burden people with the cost associated. We can't set those rates. That is the utility, but what we can do is we can help our utility partners in making those utility rates more affordable to keep the cost down for development. If we don't partner and focus on that type of development in a roadmap, we are not going to have development in this county. And I don't mean massive subdivisions, I'm saying smart growth, these smaller time parcels that need to be developed and put those housing units on there, whatever that looks like, and gets approved by the community they were putting those investments in. But I know that we don't know where the state is gonna be with budget or if we'll see these monies in the future, but I would highly encourage staff to make a different proposal in front of this board because I am not going through this again.
Ms. Foldorf.
Ben, you might have heard me, but I don't think I'm saying this to staff.
Oh, I think they heard it. And thank you. I'll let a board member make the motion, but I'd like to say something first. You brought up the infrastructure issue. It was scored lowest and it doesn't give us any points, but the CPUD project is an infrastructure issue. And I'm gonna say that the first and the third ranked proposals are good proposals, actually. I think that they would definitely benefit the community center of Calaveras County, or the government center. It's almost the center of Calaveras County, and it would give it a good facelift and it would provide more labor to the center of the county where they can, small businesses, the government, there's need. But the infrastructure issue, the hurdles, the planning, and I know we aren't getting points, but I agree with you, sir. We might we might ask for forgiveness after on this one. Because I'm willing to do it because I see success already with a shovel in the ground. But I personally would think about splitting those funds two different ways to get infrastructure done and something to Habitat, even though they weren't the top decision. But I'll let another board member consider that and possibly make a motion. But that's where I'm standing right now.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to go forward and put a motion on the table that we award the full amount to Habitat going forward.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. Roll call vote starting on Martin's side.
District 3,
Aye.
District 2,
With reservation, aye.
District 4,
Aye.
District 1,
No.
District 5.
I totally support the habitat with the full amount. I think the infrastructure thing would be a good split. Do we get it with 3 votes? Okay, I'm going to vote no because I think we would be more pragmatic for the infrastructure. But you're still making the right decision, so. That's my roll call vote. So it passes on a 3-2 vote of the board for Martin's motion. We got that?
Thank you everyone for being here today, and I know that the last couple months has been trials and tribulations, and I hope that the next time the county has an opportunity that this is laid out differently for all of us.
I want to thank everybody for coming here too today. It's a very difficult decision put before this board on spending the funds that are available to us. I again am, as I brought up earlier, the infrastructure issue here in San Andreas is a very difficult situation. And again, it is a situation to where every time I get a developer wants to come here and do something, it's a setback because of the infrastructure. I also looking at this needs to be done. And my concerns are all the other projects that are going on. Are they gonna come in and have to do it because it's done after those projects? So that was my concern about awarding this money to them, and why I voted no.
I voted with reservation because I think all these projects were great and could definitely help us. Reed family, I would love to see that develop. And I fully agree with Supervisor Fallendorf about the infrastructure. We have to address this. It is a major problem, specifically in San Andreas. And I appreciate what Habitat's doing. I think it's fantastic. I'm looking forward to West Point developing. It's painful to see the RENA numbers go to the city, not the county, and I would like staff to please, initiate those conversations with the city sooner than later on the potential credits on that. And Stanislaus, I know it's been a long, long road, but I just can't support 1-bedroom units next to our elementary school, our parks, our government center. It's not a good fit. And so, thank you all.
Martin, I'll let you go. Stanislaus? Contact staff, maybe we can work something else out for the future. And then work on other things. Because we aren't necessarily done. Mark,
Actually, Chair, you just said is ultimately, I think, oh, yeah.
Here's my own.
Oh, sorry. These are all really amazing projects that we could be able to go forward, pushing and promoting these and making them happen. That's it.
okay. You know what? I need a 5-minute break. If you're okay with that, Mr. Top, no, I guess guys.
We're ready.
I'll turn on mine.
Ready.
All right, Ms. Simpson. We just got done with, I believe, 19, so can we move on to number 20, an action item?
Item 20, action item, integrated waste management. Direct integrated integrated waste management to pause the commercial parcel cost of service study.
Morning, Ward. Micah Martin, interim integrated waste director, here to support this item. This item, again, is a request to pause the commercial rate study. As directed by the board about this time last year, June of last year, we were directed to pursue this effort to evaluate the commercial fee study. But as we're getting more and more involved into it, we're realizing there's much more that needs to be looked at operationally with the cost of our operations and other opportunities that have presented themselves. So we're requesting to pause this item at this time until more information could be gathered and have a more thoughtful look at how our commercial fees should be established.
Thank you, Micah. If I could hear any public comment, I'll bring it back to the board with any questions and a motion. Public comment? Anything online?
We have no online public comment.
Any questions from the board? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move for staff recommendation.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Supervisor Foldorf, a second by Supervisor Hubbard. All those in favor? Aye. None opposed. Passes on 5-0 vote of the board. Thank you, Micah. That was easy. Straightforward on the agenda.
You like
Thank
it like
you.
that? Yeah.
Short and sweet. Stacy.
Item 21, action item, integrates waste management. 1, establish ad hoc committee which shall terminate on December 31, 2026 to participate in discussions and potential negotiations related to the county's franchise hauler agreement, and 2, appoint 2 board members to serve as the ad hoc committee.
Right. So we'll start off with
Sure.
anything you have to say, sir.
No, and just to add to, like the previous item, as we discussed, there's a lot more to take a look at. Part of one of the recommendations for pausing that is to also take a look at this and potentially form this ad hoc committee that could help us convene on evaluating whether or not we want to do a contract extension for the current contract or enter into renegotiations, and also the other considerations that should be made regarding the fee study and other potential operational changes.
Excellent, sir. Any public comment?
Casey Vaccarezza, Cal Waste, where you get this franchise hauler here within the county. We're here to help the county. We're here to assist and be a good partner, which I think we have been for a number of years now since we came up here. We understand that there's some issues with IWM and funding, and we've informally talked. I think Supervisor Andel and Tofinelli, we've had some informal discussions of something that we could help IWM out, and we want to continue to have that conversation with you guys moving forward, and we really look forward to extending our contract with you guys.
Excellent. Thank you. Any further public comment?
We have no online public comment.
Okay, and then I just want to say we appreciate the partnership we've had so far and look forward to what we work out in the future with Cal Waste. And I'll just say to the board, I'm interested in the ad hoc committee. I've had my hand in integrated waste since the very beginning and before. Not to say I have any more experience than anybody, but I've been putting in the good work. I would like to continue to put in the good work in this endeavor. So.
Could I just ask, Council, how does this work? Sorry, how does this work? Do we nominate or?
Yeah, or I guess I would just say, like, if someone wants to make a motion, as to who the 2 members should be, and then that would need a second, just like anything else, or if someone wants to make a motion on the first, I guess you could do it in 1 or 2 stages. It would be up to you.
Supervisor Tofinelli, are you interested?
Yes, I am.
I would then just go for, is anybody else? And actually, it can't back to the chair, sorry.
I'm also interested. I have had some conversations and I would be interested in learning more and continuing those discussions.
I'm gonna get killed over this. I will, since the conversations have already been happening, I would make a motion to allow Supervisor Toffenelli and Endall to continue the conversations they've already had with Cal Waste.
We have a second.
I'll second that.
We have a first and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, it passes on 5-0 to the vote, 5-0 vote of the board. Thank you. Supervisors announcements.
In compliance with Government Code, Section 53232.3D, board members shall provide brief reports on any meetings attended at the expense of the local agency and may make other announcements or report out.
Mr. Hubbard.
Chair, on the 15th of this month, I attended the resource partnership meeting. On the 17th, I met with PG&E and I did a half tour of the Tiger Creek Powerhouse, which is important for our MAC project. On the 18th, I attended the Douglas Flats fundraiser. They were very thankful for the donation that they received. On the 20th, the ERSN network, which we are still trying to grow, is doing very well. On the 23rd, I attended the Fire State Council meeting. On the 25th, we lauded Steve Lauterbach, and he's an amazing individual. He is he's pretty much an icon of District 3, the Upper Highway 4 corridor. His decades of contribution to the Arnold Rim Trail. And then yesterday, I attended with the supervisor and all the strategic planning meeting. And I just wanted to take a moment and do a little show and tell. And I know this is ridiculous, but the ladies set up a loom at the museum, and each visitor over the last 2 years put one line in there. And I just thought it was a really cool way. And seeing as it's in your district, I wanted to give it to you. Excuse me while I throw it at you. You don't need this, you don't need it now, but it's a cool thing. And we set it up again. That represents a lot of people that came and really learned about Calaveras history.
Okay. On April 24th, I attended the Upper McCallum River Watershed Authority meeting. On April 25th, I attended a Firewise meeting in West Point. On April 27th, yesterday, I attended Strategic Planning Commission, and later in the day, the Central Sierra Child Support Agency meeting.
Hey, last week I attended a town hall in Coppell. CEO was also there. The focus was on noxious weeds and the plan, going over the plan, lack of plan that Tridem has provided so far, and what that timeline would look like with the FERC regulations. A lot of good feedback came out of that town hall, and I hope that Tridem hears those. Saturday on the 25th, I attended Cattlemen's. The sheriff was there as well, and she and the president of the California Cattlemen's Association discussed wolves. And with that, we have a meeting here in Calaveras County on June 10th on wolves and apex predators, mountain lions. It will be hosted by the UC Extension. It will be right over here in the overflow room, and it will be from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. If you're unable to make the June 10th meeting, there is a June 9th meeting in Amador County at the same time. Please check the UC Extension. They have that posted, and I believe Jesse also has it posted on the website, on the county website, and on the ag department. I have camera this Thursday, and then Micah spoke already about the Caltrans Town Hall on the May 6th. Due to that meeting, our COG meeting will now be on May 7th at 5:30 PM. So, to accommodate the Caltrans Town Hall on the 6th, and that's all I have.
They brought up everything, so I attended meetings, I have nothing else.
This Saturday, May 2nd, is Kids Fishing Day in Murphy's. Get your kids up there. The creek's gonna be full of trout. It's gonna be a blast. I'll have hot dogs, soda, and chips. Y'all, thank you for a great day. Good job today. And until next time. Same bat channel. Stacy,
Thank you.
Sarah, do you have anything? Our beloved CEO?